This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the New Orleans Investment Conference 2018, and with me right now is Curtis Moore from Energy Fuels, publicly traded company, two symbols for you, UUUU on the NYSE and EFR on the TSX. Curtis, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you back. So for our audience, let's start off with an overview.
Yep, happy to do it. So Energy Fuels is the #1 uranium miner in the United States. We're also about to go into vanadium production, and vanadium is seeing a lot of interest right now because prices have increased so much, and we're actually going to be producing vanadium here in the next couple of weeks, so we're very excited about that.
You know, I was going to say, we haven't had you on here in about a year. I think it was last time we had you on was about this time. So let's get that update. You already went into it a little bit, but maybe in the last 12 months, some of the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we became the #1 uranium producer in the United States just a couple of years ago. We maintained that position here in 2018. And, you know, uranium markets are certainly improving significantly. And there's been a lot of talk here at the conference about uranium, and there's a lot to be excited about on uranium. However, we also have a lot of vanadium that's actually dissolved in our pond water out at our White Mesa mill. It's low-hanging fruit. It's ready to be produced. We're a significant past vanadium producer, and again, we're not going to go off and become a vanadium mining company necessarily, but we have about 4 million pounds of V2O5 vanadium that's actually dissolved in our pond water that we're going to recover over the next 2 years. Right now, the price of vanadium is about $25 per pound, so 4 million pounds of vanadium in 2 years at $25 per pound. We're very excited about this.
So for those who may not know, you know, what's the utility for vanadium?
Sure. So 90% of the vanadium market is in steel, in high-strength alloys. It's in the metallurgical industry. There's another 5 or 6% that's used in the chemical industry, and then another 3 or 4% is being used in advanced battery technologies. And that's where actually a lot of the growth is in batteries. But really, what's underpinning the current market conditions today, we see, with the prices increasing so much, is just the fundamental use, supply and demand for steel, and some of those uses like that.
So is vanadium, and forgive me if I'm a layman when it comes to the uranium subsect, but is vanadium almost like an outcrop, so to speak, of uranium, or is it its own resource that you just happen to have on the property?
Yeah, so vanadium, of course, is an element, and in a number of the mines that we own, and also at our White Mesa mill, which is the only uranium processing facility, the only mill, conventional mill in the United States. It's also the only conventional vanadium mill in the United States. It was designed to actually capture both the uranium and the vanadium from the local mines. The two minerals are co-hosted in the same ore in a lot of the mines that are right there on the Colorado-Utah border. So the mill has actually produced about 45 million pounds of vanadium during its history. So it has a long history of producing vanadium. We haven't produced it since about 2013, but we're getting ready to go back into production and really just processing it out of our tailings.
So I also have to ask, I got to know about the competition. Are there other vanadium companies in the United States currently?
No. It's there's a little bit of vanadium that comes off the byproduct of some other processes that are out there, but we're actually going to be the only primary producer of vanadium literally in North America once we start producing here in the next couple of weeks. Now I'll tell you, we've never produced vanadium specifically in this manner where we're reprocessing tailings. The process as of yet is unproven until you actually see the finished product in a barrel at the end of the day. You don't know exactly what you're going to get, but we're feeling very confident about this, and we're talking a lot about it, so you can tell we have a high degree of confidence.
Right. Is there any regulation that you have to go through in order to, start doing this?
Nope, we're already fully permitted to do it. It's right there in front of us.
So all right, so not to switch gears a little bit, but on the uranium side, how's everything going on that front?
It's going very well. Again, like I said, we're the #1 uranium producer in the United States. We expect to stay there. Well, I guess one of the more interesting things that our company did in the last year is that we filed a petition with the U.S. government to have them investigate the effects of today's high level of uranium imports into the United States on national security. A lot of people are aware of the tariffs that Trump put in place on steel and aluminum. It was done under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. We filed a petition under Section 232, and actually the Department of Commerce took up our investigation here in July. We're really excited about that. This is actually the first time that the government has started a 232 investigation upon the petition of a private company. And so we're kind of making history in that regard. They are currently doing the investigation. They're looking into the markets and that sort of thing. And the whole idea about this is that we're trying to make sure that we maintain a viable uranium industry in the United States. It's critical for national security, for energy security. I mean, the U.S. Navy runs on uranium and nuclear. The nuclear deterrent, we get 20% of our electricity in America from nuclear, but we are just so heavily dependent on uranium and nuclear fuel in the United States that it's starting to have an impact on our national security.
Right. So you alluded to a couple things that I'm going to ask in this next question in terms of value catalysts, but from what you can tell me, let's get some main bullet points in terms of some value catalysts moving into 2019.
Sure. Well, of course, vanadium production. We're going to be producing 200,000 pounds per month as long as market conditions, and of course, as long as our costs and recoveries come in line to where we think they'll be. That's going to generate significant cash flow, we hope, into the company in the next several months. We're going to hear some news on the 232 investigation here in the next, Commerce has to finish the investigation by April, and at that point, they'll prepare a report and a recommendation to the president. We've actually asked for a trade quota where you reserve a small piece of the U.S. market for U.S. uranium producers. So we've asked them to reserve 25% of the market for companies like us. They can U.S. utilities can still import 75%, but if we get that 25%, that means that U.S. uranium production is going to have to ramp up from about 1 million pounds per year to 10 or 12 million pounds per year. And under that scenario, probably about a third to a half of that uranium would come through Energy Fuels.
And Curtis, where can our audience go and find more information about Energy Fuels?
Yep, we have a website, www.energyfuels.com.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the New Orleans Investment Conference 2018. And with me again has been Curtis Moore from Energy Fuels, publicly traded company, two symbols, UUUU on the NYSE and EFR on the TSX. Curtis, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you very much.